win a game in the Big Ten tournament when it comes to town next week. But, yeah, they did not look great the other night against Purdue, and that wasn't good for the resume.
Well, we'll have to get into the conversation about Archie Miller, how he's not been able to beat Purdue since he's been there, and how he's going to be on the hot seat. We'll get in that to another show. The other Homer team that we talk about is Butler's had a good season. I think they'll end up with as a number 7 seed, possibly playing Utah State still in that same bracket.
Yeah, Butler's a team that, you look at, a month and a half ago, early January, when they played DePaul, a team that they played tonight at Hinkle Fieldhouse. They were ranked 5th in the country, and they went up to DePaul and got absolutely slapped around, got blown out of the gym. They weren't even in that game from the time it tipped off. It's been a struggle in the month of February for the Dogs. I'm sure they wish that they were turning the calendars to March 1st today and not tomorrow. But Hinkle sold out tonight. I think the Dogs get a win. Big kind of boost their confidence because they need that. The Dogs right now at 7 seed. They can move up. We'll see. They get St. John's at home on Wednesday. That'd be a nice win. Then you got to go to at Xavier coming up next week to finish off the season. And then you see what happens in the Big East tournament. Right now, like you said, if they're in the tournament, I think they are. They will be in the tournament. They'll be the 7 seed, and they could be playing a team like, as you said, Utah State is a team right around those lines. East Tennessee State is a very good mid-major team. They're going to be probably a 10 seed, maybe Rhode Island, depending on what they do. Other teams, maybe a Houston, but I don't think Houston falls that low, and maybe a Florida as well. So, like you said, as of right now, that's where we're at, but there's still a lot of college basketball to be played before we fill out those brackets in 2 weeks.
So here's my bold prediction. We've always got to have one. We've always got to have – I do a bunch of different brackets, and we'll make sure that you have one with the balance here. But one of my bold – I always call my bold move brackets, where I kind of pick some really bold things for bracket busters. But I really think this is a good one, and I'm gonna call this one, and I might eat crow later on. Obviously, Gonzaga is going to be number 1 out on the other side of the bracket, which is the LA bracket. I look for South Dakota State to play them in the first round, to be a very close game, possibly an overtime, possibly a buzzer beater. But South Dakota State brings down the Gonzaga Bulldogs for your first bracket buster of the year. Maybe not a Cinderella team, but certainly a bracket buster there in the West.
So are you one of those guys that fills out like 15 different brackets and then brags when he gets one upset?
That's
because
right.
He filled out
never
15
lose,
different brackets?
man. I am one of those guys. But that's not
South
that far
Dakota
off.
State is a good Yeah, South Dakota State's not a bad basketball team. I think what people fall in love with them is they had one of the best scores in the country last year, and it's so tough to go there and play. So they always have a great record at home. I'll say this. I don't think it's going to be South Dakota State that knocks off Gonzaga, but I will say if there was a flaw in Gonzaga's game, because I think that they're going to draw some team like probably Siena or Prairie View or possibly Radford. But if there's something I'd watch out for, it'd be that second round matchup against an 8-9 seed. It's going to be from a major conference. I would watch out for Gonzaga because they don't go as deep as a lot of other teams. They only play 6 to 7 players. Killian Tilly is a guy who can get it done. They score in bunches. But if you could slow them down, like Lenardi has them possibly playing Texas Tech with Virginia in that second round matchup, if you could if they play Virginia, a team that slows them down and can play defense on them and makes them beat you in other ways and go deep into your bench, that's where Gonzaga could be beat because Gonzaga only plays 6 to 7 players.
Okay, final word. First 4. We got. I would say we have 2 16 seeds. 2 16 seed brackets, 11 and a 12. So 16 seed Prairie View already got them. I think going in to play Kansas against in Cat, and then you got the 12 seed Mississippi Providence. You got the 11 seed Oklahoma Xavier, and you got the other 16 seed is Siena and St. Francis, and I got Siena going in there as well, in Oklahoma and Providence as well. What are your thoughts in the first 4?
Yeah, I mean Oklahoma, USC, the Pac-12 is not as bad as what we thought it was going to be. Colorado, UCLA is hot right now. They're leading the conference. Arizona, Oregon. They've got some good competition out there. I could see USC kind of getting off of that first 4 in by winning a couple games and winning in Vegas a few games as well in the Big 12 tournament or the Pac-12 tournament. Yeah, I mean, the 16 seeds, you can just throw them up in the air and take some of the small conference tournament winners and, the Austin Peays of the world and the North Carolina A&Ts. That's great and all. But yeah, so I mean, you look at USC, Oklahoma, and then if IU loses and kind of struggles here down the stretch, we could possibly see that. Providence is a team that I think you get off the bubble with some wins in the Big East. The team that's going to have a hard time getting off of that bubble line is North Carolina State. They're a good team, but the A's not as good as it once was. North Carolina's down. Clemson's awful. Duke's decent. Florida State's really good, but there's just not a lot of opportunities for quality wins in that league right now. I know Virginia's right on the bubble. So North Carolina State's the team I think has the toughest road to get off of that first four-in line.
Tony Donahue, the Tony D podcast. Before we let you go, your pick, your choice. What is the sports book bloodline? Lock it in for the weekend.
I'm going to take Kyle Busch to win tomorrow. I'm 2 for 2 so far in NASCAR races this year. The Daytona 500, I understand, is a crapshoot, but Logano at Vegas last week. Fontana this week. I'm going to go ahead and say Kyle Busch gets off the snide, gets a victory. Really like Bowling Green coming up today, as well as Butler to have a nice bounce-back win. You can follow me at Tony D Indy on Twitter. We got college basketball sports betting show coming up here in about 10 minutes we're going to do on Twitter. So just give us a follow and enjoy the rest of the weekend. Enjoy your leap day.
That's right. We'll see you in 4 years, sir. Have a good weekend.
Good.
All right.
You too.
Tony Donahue of the Tony D podcast said, jump over to Twitter right after this show's over. I think Melissa will get that information up on social media for you. And if you enjoy betting, he has a really good Twitter cast, if you will. So jump over there, and Melissa will get that over for you as well. It's been a great show today. Thank you for joining us on this Leap Day. We don't get to have Leap Day jokes that often. I mean, every 3 years, every 4 years? But we did propose some interesting questions today. If you're a sorry, I can't walk at you again. At the same time, I was getting a text from Steve Wilson, our official NASCAR contributor, but I thought more it's going to jump on, but that's not the case. He's sick today, so we're going to give him a hard time. Say he's got the coronavirus, but I think he's just got a virus. It could be the hangover virus. But we did bring up some interesting questions today, things that make you ponder. If your birthday is today, when do you celebrate it? Tomorrow? Yesterday? Do you not age? If you got married today, do you only celebrate your anniversary every 3? These are important questions that we have to get answered. And we'll spend the next 3 years trying to get the answer. I appreciate Matthew Embury, Mo from the BS Sports Show, joining us a little bit earlier today, starting the show off, talking some March Madness with us and some NFL Combine with us. We're getting right knee deep into the March Madness, and it's just beginning. It's right, just beginning. And just make sure you let us know if you want a bracket. When the brackets come out in 2 weeks, we'll get them distributed to everybody that says, we will need your email address. We don't need your phone number or anything, but we do need your email address and your screen name or a name that you want us to associate with the bracket. All you need. It's free. You can do a maximum of 2. And bragging rights. That's what you get. And I tell you what, we always have a great turnout. We usually run out of brackets. We only have so much space. So we usually run out very, very quickly on our balanced brackets. So I'd encourage you to shoot us a direct message on Twitter or Facebook. Say, hey, I want one of them brackets. Do it early so that your name's already on the list. Do it late, you may or may not get one. It goes pretty quick. It goes real quick. Thank you, Matthew Embury, WSBT up in South Bend, for joining us and breaking down his bracketology that he does every year for the Indianapolis 500, and that's coming quick. And that's what Steve Wilson just told me. He will be here for the Indianapolis 500. That is going to be great to hang out with him out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and our team and his team hanging out. And we're going to be bringing some great coverage of the Indianapolis 500. Thank you to Ed Kratz, the man's SI.com, beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles and our official NFL contributor, giving us a walkthrough of this week in the NFL combine. And really, we talked about this. The combine is really a business aspect, a business function of the NFL, of the scouting process, of the draft process. There's not a lot outside of just observing. There's not a lot there for fans. So I hope that the NFL takes some time to just slow the roll a little bit on trying to monetize everything. Keep it here in Indianapolis. It's a great economic impact for the city. And I'm not just saying that because I live here. You heard Ed Kratz say, hey, this is a great venue. Never had to leave the convention center all week long. Everything is located there. So don't have to worry about traffic. He was telling me offline that he stayed over by the airport, was downtown by the combine, didn't take him more than 15 or 20 minutes in traffic. You're not going to have that in L.A. So the NFL needs to reconsider that. And I'm sure that I'll be having some meetings with Roger Goodell about this, and I'll let him know my thoughts. Wouldn't it be that easy? I tell you what, though, Ed had a great idea. Maybe the NFL teams need to think about this, letting some lucky fans as part of a contest or something be in the war room on draft day. A silent observer. You have to obey rules. Can't talk. Just observe. There's got to be rules in place. Don't be that crazy one with all kinds of jackassery going on. I think that would be cool. Tony Donahue, Tony D Podcast, joining us, helping us break down and get started this March Madness. Got a lot to talk about. We'll be filling out our brackets. 2 weeks is Selection Sunday. And we'll have a March Madness special the Saturday before that with all of our notes, spreadsheets put together. We'll spend 2 hours talking about what we think is going to happen on Selection Sunday. Most importantly, if you're listening to us on the podcast, hit subscribe, whether it's Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast, hit subscribe. Also, give us 4 stars, 4 smiley faces, or whatever their rating system is. That just helps us know how awesome we already know that we are. No, I'm just kidding. We appreciate you guys and all that you do as our fan base. Make sure you're also following us on Twitter, @TBalance, and on Facebook. Just search The Balance. Look for the Scales of Justice of Microphones, if you will. That's our logo. Hit follow. We try to update on Facebook quite regularly and Twitter quite regularly at all. That sounds like that Liberty commercial. Forget it, we'll dub it. 917-889-8516 was our digits. And write that down because the digits doesn't change at all. So write that down. I got a call it quits call today. I'm out of here. Deuces. Don't drink and drive. It isn't cool. Make sure you're following us on Twitter, on Facebook. And also make sure that you're listening to our podcast, downloading the podcast, hitting subscribe, and rating us. I'm out of here. Deuces.
Join us next week for The Balance. In the meantime, check us out on Twitter, T-Balance, or Facebook, The Balance, or online at www.thebalanceonline.com.